I'm going to be going live here in a second. I just wanted to make sure everybody got a chance to finish with Ryan first. There we go. Want to make sure everything's on there. Okay. I'll raise this just a hair. There we go. Oops. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. Sorry about that. Hi, honey maid. Welcome into the group. So, throw some knowledge at you. Well, I'm going to throw something. I don't know what all it's going to be, but I'll throw something at you. Let's see if I can get this. I'm trying to get the camera to set up just right. Some reason I'm not having a lot of luck with my video here. There we go. Now the video's catching up. Okay. Great. I'm going to have to get out of this and go back into it, looks like. There we go. There we are. Okay. Good. So, I know Ryan's still working on things. That's why I was kind of waiting for some of the people to get here. Hi, Vilden. I hope you can stay. Please feel free to hit the like button. And Ryan's there. As I see Ryan says first. So I'm going to assume, Ryan, you are done. Okay. I know it's cutting off part of my face. It's just the way it is. What I thought I'd start with is to talk about what we did on Monday. And I did find the other piece. And this is why I lost it. This is actually that piece that went on here that was just kind of like a grassy bark. And as you can see, that's what caught, well, burnt off anyway. And you can see it was actually a blow. And that's what caused all of this to blow, which is too bad because that's beautiful wood. And that would have been a really nice little gnome house, I guess, is what I was going for. But oh well, you live and you learn. I was trying to press something that thinner that you just really couldn't go any thinner on. I mean, as you can see, that's pretty paper thin at that point. And yeah, I just went a little too aggressively. So, word to the wise: don't be overly aggressive when you're trying to do these things. And I did kind of want to recap a couple things. These are some, if you haven't been in here recently, this is what we did last week. These three bowls are from the oak burl. This was the big one, and this was the mama, and then this was the baby. And they all nestle nicely inside each other. And they are slightly different made. These two are kind of made in one direction. These are made in different. I wouldn't really sell them as a set necessarily. They'll be sold individually, but I do really like that grain and that look on there. That is really, really nice. And this is a non-gloss, and this is gloss. So for people that like it either way, we can accommodate, right? And then this nice piece here, which was another piece of that cypress, really like colors in that. So, but that was the old stuff. Now we got to get to the new stuff. So a couple weeks ago, guys were saying, "Hey, you've never turned any pins," and they were right. I have not turned any pins on here. I've turned a lot of pins in the past. In fact, that's how I started in turning, because I had a small jet lathe, and well, that's kind of what you did with them, because that's about all you could do. Well, you could do small bowls. You could do 6-inch bowl maybe, or something like that. And I did do some small bowls in that. But this is what I thought we would try today. This is a piece of spalted maple, and as you can see right here, well, it's really tight. It's already got a chipped or cracked piece because there's soft wood here. The problem with spalted maple is you get really, 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 really hard pieces, and you get really, really soft areas in the same piece of wood. So as you're turning, your gouge is going to hit a soft spot, a hard spot, a soft spot, and it could bounce off the hard part and then gouge into the soft spot if you're not careful. So I really have to be very, very careful when I'm turning this. Hi, Dave. I see you're on here. So, um, see who else? Oh, Whacking Shack. Okay, Mike, you're in here. Good. Okay, Big Mex. How you doing, Mex? Um, now that you got that big, powerful Laguna, you're gonna make my baby Laguna look like a tiny little thing after you get that big one going on. This is only a 12-16. It's not the 18 that you got, but we can do some pretty big bowls. And after we do a couple of these, we're going to do something else. Let me show you what I'm making today. This happens to be birch, but these are keychain pins. And I know some of you had mentioned about it. I made a lot of these before. They sell really well. Pricing is kind of an unusual thing. Sometimes they go for a good price, sometimes they don't. This was kind of interesting. I love this little starburst right here. I don't know if you can see it, but that little starburst right in there is really kind of neat. But you have to be really careful with this stuff too. But this came up pretty nice, and so what I thought is, we'll give this a try, and then I'm going to try something a little different with the next one, and then we'll finish off with a big bowl, and we'll try and get this all done before the football games start, because I know some of you are big football fans. I am. My fantasy teams are all set. I had terrible position in fantasy league. I had the 10th pick in a snake draft, so it means I got the 10th pick, I got the 15th pick, and then I didn't get another one until almost like the 28th pick or something like that. By then, an awful lot of good players were gone. So, but we'll see how that comes out. I might have gotten too. Let me lower that just a bit. We're doing this one. There we go. Let's try this. Okay. Maple, for the most part, cooperates pretty well. Like I said, though, if you get one of those hard spots, and when you're making these mini pins, the real challenge is right here near the edge, because you're working some pretty small pieces of wood. And you don't want to go down too far, because then you take out go down to the brass. And then you're looking at a piece of brass tubing instead of looking at wood. And that's never a good thing. I don't know if any of you that are making pens have done this, but you should buy a little bit of extra 7 millimeter tubing so that if you do have a blowout or some big thing and you need to replicate another piece for your pen, instead of losing the entire pen blank, you can just get another piece of tubing and cut it down to right size and do that. And that's an inexpensive way to keep from having to replace your kit. So, uh, and the other thing you have to kind of know is you don't have to be perfectly shaped here. I'm going to fairly thin on this one for just because I want to, but I want to see how this is going to go. Different people like different styles of pens, so you go different styles as you go. See if I can get past that part that was really bad in here. Just want to take a look at that real quick. Yeah, that did go away. We got underneath that that little piece there. So say hello to all you people that are in there. Hopefully, Michael Wilson was able to get in, and if not, what I'll probably do is just take Mike completely off the list, let him go in, and then reset him as a moderator. So that might be what I have to do. I don't know why we're having a problem with that, but we'll figure it out one way or the other. A little bit of high right there. Okay. So this is not going to have as much of that sexy move. Now, first little tip. Here you go. Let's see. What are we saying here? Hey, Ryan, would you know why Wilson can't comment? And he can't be. Oh, you know what? Let me see what I can do. Let me see. Give me a second here. I'll go into the edits here and see if I can't do that for him under the community. It says anyone live moderators. Let's see live reactions. Okay. I'm looking at my moderation basic viewer posts. Huh. Let's try that again. I want to make sure that I can get him all set up. Oh shoot. That's not what I want to get into the live. Well, we're gonna go into the live, and I can't seem to get into it right now. It's blocking me out now. Great. So let me back into my account here. I'm sorry this is taking a little bit of time, guys. I was trying to get in there so Michael could get in here, but boy, this is really giving me a problem now. I'm going to go this way. There we are. Yeah, I was trying to check the moderator, and it wouldn't let me go to it, which is kind of weird. So I'm going to have to see if it'll get me in. Well, I'm sorry. I don't want to take too much time from the rest of you right now. Maybe when we get a little break, I'll try and get in there again. Let them know, please. I apologize. At any rate, um, this this holds different sizes of abrasive rolls, and they fit in here. And you can take you got your 150, 240, 320, and 400. It's really handy. So when I'm looking to make to do some quick sanding, I don't have to grab a big piece or anything, and I can just go like this. The nice thing about this, because it's the way it's done, I can actually wrap around it and get it all nice and shaped a little bit. I can also go in reverse. Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of the spalting, a lot of the nice dark maple kind of left in the, when is in this turning, but we'll see what we can do here. Also, whenever I go from one to the next, I do a little this, the kind of crossing it. So then when I go to the next one, it actually has something to bite into when it's sanding. And what I do is I write the grit on the back of the piece with a little felt tip marker, so I know. And you don't have to do too much sanding, especially since I put it down pretty low. This is more just to get any little uh, shredding out of there or anything like that. And this is just our first one, just to kind of get us all warmed up a bit. Okay. One more time. And we'll go to the 400 grit. And that friction does heat this up pretty quickly. There we go. Good. All right. So I'm just going to use a tiny bit of tried and true on this just to kind of get any little bits out of there. There we are. Get a little clean spot here. And that kind of just rubs it out a little bit. Now I'm going to do something a little odd for you. A little tree wax. Since I don't have some of that good beeswax yet that Ryan is using, but I tell you, a can of this stuff lasts you nearly a lifetime because it just doesn't take much, but it gives it a nice hard finish. It's got, I think, carnauba waxes and so forth in it. It's basically what it is carnauba wax. It used to be used on floors, so if it can be used on floors, I'm sure it can hold up on a pan. A light on there. There we go. That kind of brought it out a little bit more. Okay. Now this one, this mandrel has a nut on the end that you use to tighten everything down. It has some advantages and other disadvantages. And we'll put this away. Use later. And while that's kind of drying a little bit, I'm going to move on to something else. So there. Go. So I think you'll like this tip a little better. Different mandrel. Oh, I'm sorry, different mandrel. Stupid me. There it is. Grab the wrong one. Nobody says you can't do 4 at a time instead of 2 at a time, right? Ah, doesn't help when you drop things. Bear with me a second here, guys. There we go. No trouble getting that off. There we go. So now we can do 4 at a time. Yeah, I know. It's trying to do the comment moderation. It wasn't letting me go in there to play with that. So I'm stuck at the moment. Anyway, don't want to get too far away from the job at hand here. Anyway, so yes, you can do 2 pins at once, Mike. That's the idea here. And it gives me the choice of, do I want to mix olive? This is olive, and you can see it's got a lot of stuff in there. And this is mahogany. So I've got olive and mahogany, and we're going to turn them all. And then I can take them out. There's no reason you can't do 4 at a time instead of 2 at a time. At least I don't think there's any reason you can't. We'll find out. You do have to be really careful with this olive. Back the mahogany. And that is one thing, is you're turning 2 different kinds of woods. They turn differently. Yeah, so maybe I should have put the 2 olives on one end and the 2 mahoganies on the other end. I don't know. It's loose there. Let me tighten this up again. There we go. I'm gonna go up even a little faster, see if that'll help. Dang. For some reason that one's kind of giving me a little bit of a problem on the end there. I gotta go a little slower on this one on the end here. Doesn't seem to have as much tension on it as the others do. That one's going okay. Built this one a little bit differently than the other one. The advantage of this, of course, is you can kind of look across them and try and make them all roughly the same. Not like that. Let's see if I can do that with the next one. Yeah, we're running across that little bit of harder olive there. Snagging it just a bit. See if I can tighten that up again. Getting this one on the end around is kind of been a little bit of a problem here compared to the others. I'm going to have to maybe try a different approach on that one. Yeah, patience is a virtue. Yeah. It doesn't want to round out, does it? All right, let's try this approach. There we go. I don't like to get that aggressive with small pieces of wood. Sometimes you have to. See if we can get in there. What's that, Timber? Yeah, it's sharp. I sharpened it not too before we did this actually. I can give it a couple of quick. It's not my favorite tool. It's made just for this kind of spindle work, and I don't use my spindle work as much. Let's see if that helps at all. Yeah, it might have gotten a little bit better bedge on it. I don't know. Kind of vibrating on me here. Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at this. Yeah, see, it's real rough feeling. It's like it's not tearing out, but it's just like shearing off. Let me see something here. I'm gonna try this skew here. Ah, yep. I could just tell that piece was just not going to be cooperating. Split right in half. Well, that happens. All right. Well, go back to the others. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find a different tool here. Might give me a better chance at it. Try this one. There you go. This is really hard, this olive. Apparently. It doesn't want to It doesn't want to go down as easy as the other. I'm going to do something here. Okay, everybody start dancing with the music. See if that does anything for me. Thing is, I don't have a 4-inch tool rest, so I have to kind of get far away from the with the tool rest a little bit in order to fit this in here this way. But so that's kind of the good and the bad of this. This is I kind of like this mandrel, but I don't like the when it gets real short like this. So there we are. Really hard to ride that bevel. Down. Oh, you gotta be careful too. I don't want to snag it off and break that as I get near the end. Yeah, that's not bad. Let's see if I can get this one down. Yeah. Okay, see if I got that down. Pretty close. Gotta be really careful here, but I'll try and get that out. Smooth that out just a little bit. And then get this one. You want to go from the wood down, not from the bottom up, because what happens then is you snag the end and you snap off the wood. So whenever you're trying to get this bottom part, you want to be going downhill into it like this, not come from here and go up. Okay, well, let's give that a shot. See what we can do here. Okay, try and get these done here pretty quickly. Generally speaking, I can knock these out about one every 12 minutes. So in an hour, I can do at least 4 of these, maybe 5. I've done 6 a couple times in an hour. Depending on the wood that you're turning, this one gave me a little bit more trouble than others. And you get into a pattern of it. I usually, if I'm going to make these, I make a pack of about 20 at a time, which means I have to create 40 little blanks or more, get them all glued up. It's a lot of prep work to make a pin. The making of the pin itself is actually the easy part compared to all the other things you have to do. Now I'm starting to get a little bit of color and look out of that. Let's see. Okay. Go this way. And then we'll go back the other way. Do a little reverse. There we go. Yeah, it's getting better. Go to 320. Oops. Do reverse first. Turn around. There we go. Okay, and the 400 last. We got here. Hi, Benjamin, Landon, John. Appreciate y'all coming in and taking a look. We're going to be doing some different things here today. Just trying to pass on a couple little tips about making pins. See, we're starting to get a little bit of color in this now. Let's see how that works out. This time I'm going to use some Mylans. Mylans is been around a long, long time, and it's a friction coat. And usually you put it on wet first. Get it on there. Do a little spinning. And let the friction kind of help you with that. Now that's really starting to stick out there. I don't know if you can see that very well, but I'll show that to you in a minute. Oops. Don't want to get that on my lathe. There we go. And the nice thing about this friction is it will polish up. Since you're going to be selling these for very little money, you don't want to spend a lot of some of your expensive stuff on the finishes. You just want something that's a good hard finish. That's why sometimes just a little shellac or something is a good finish. Or beeswax, or something along those lines. If I was making a pin that's for long-lasting use, and I'm going to get somebody spend $30 or $40 on it, I'm going to put a different finish on it that's probably going to be a little bit harder and it'll last a little bit longer. But part of being a wood turner is also the economy part. You have to be careful and save. Make sure you're not spending more money on something on the woods and everything than you're going to get for the product. If your intent is to actually sell it, and in this particular case, I am selling these, so it's a consideration. Okay, I'm going to give one final thing on here, and you're going to laugh. Meguiar's. They're mirror glaze. It's a fine cleaner, and sometimes I use this as a prep before I put on the final finish. But I'm going to use it this time just to give it a little bit of a because it has a very fine abrasive in it. Okay. Get that in there really good. I'll go to a dry part of the cloth here. And that should be enough. Okay, that looks pretty nice. The mahogany piece is nice. I like that. Okay, so you can see that. Hopefully a little bit better. I'm not quite sure. It sort of looks like an hourglass or something. It's kind of an unusual look to it. And there's the other two pieces. So when I go to assemble these, I'll probably assemble them. I don't know if I'll keep. I don't know if I'll keep the two olive pieces together, or if I'll put the mahogany piece like top like this. Maybe make a pin like this, and maybe go back and do another mahogany piece later on for that other one. What do you guys think? Well, I wouldn't call it a master class. Oh, I will show you one other trick though. Another small thing. See this little round file here? It fits right inside the little tube. And let's see, I can demonstrate here. And a lot of times when you're gluing these into your piece of wood, a little bit of the glue will get on the inside as you're pushing it through or whatever. And that little tiny bit can keep it from going on the mandrel. So you can take this and just kind of do that just a little bit with it. And that will remove any of that glue that's in there, make all the fittings later on work a lot better. So honestly, this I think was from Harbor Freight, part of a package. I'm not sure, but any small round file, as you can see, this is tapered slightly, but it works just great for going in there and getting that cleaned out. Uh, Obviously, the glue I was using wasn't the best glue or something because I didn't hold on to the wood. But well, it happens. It happens. It happens. It happens. So you say that's an ancient Greek symbol, huh? Well, for some reason it's inside the woods. That's all I can say. What can random, right? It's random shit, all right. But thanks, and please, guys, keep hitting the like button if you can. Anybody that's in here, like to get the likes up a little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to do something really fun. I have this big old piece here. It is not really round. Not really round. And as you can see, it's got a big piece. It's lower here and really high here and really low here. Not really enough for a tenon because it's also the sapwood. And what we're going to try to do with this, what we're going to try and do with this, we're going to try and do with this is we're going to try and round it out first, if we can. If it doesn't beat me to death. And then we are going to try and get this squared off so we can make a tenon in here and go to the top, and we're going to make a nice ground ball. This is about 10, as I recall, it's about 10 and a half inches when I started with it. It's probably down to 10 right now. It is a hard piece. It's cypress. What I had to do here, and if you see this top, it's kind of shiny. I don't know if you can see that in the picture, but whenever you get a piece of wood, even if it's been on the ground for a while, it's still probably not dry. And this was not dry. It was. I checked it the other day with my um, moisture meter, and it was around 15%. You want it down below 9% or 9% or less if you really want it to be stable. So this is going to be an unstable bowl. Going back to what Mike was talking about with Ryan earlier today, this is going to be a little bit unstable. So what I did last night is I took some glue and I brushed it on here, some wood glue. I just brushed it on here to keep it from cracking overnight. Did a pretty good job. As I've said before in some of my other short videos about preserving wood, you can use things like wax, liquid wax, anchor. There's an anchor wax that can be used. You can use paint. I chose to take some glue, wood glue, and just brush it on here with a real cheap brush, and that seals it temporarily. Now we're going to be starting to turn it again, so that's going to, that's obviously going to take that away. What's going to relieve the cracking, and you can see there's some cracking here where I didn't put the glue. What's going to relieve the cracking is getting some of the inside out of here, because as long as there's inside pressures, all that moisture trying to get out, it's pressing. It's pressing. And in this particular case, that right there is the pith. Normally, you don't turn with the pith on, but this wood was rather interesting. There's some pith there and pith here. So it's going to crack around those pith areas. It radiates out. It's a radial line. So we're going to try and turn this to the point where I can control it, the moisture, and then I'm going to take it inside and probably use my microwave when my wife isn't looking. And you can use the microwave to dry a piece of wood. What you do is you put it on a scale and you weigh it, and then you put it in the microwave for about, say, 45 seconds to a minute, no more than that. Take it out. It's going to be hot. Let it steam for about 20, 30 minutes, maybe a little longer. Weigh it and see if it's moisture, see if it's losing weight, because you're steaming some of the moisture out of the wood. And you do this over a course of several hours, quite honestly. And eventually you get to the point where there's almost no weight change. And when there's no more weight change, you've pretty much dried out the wood. Now, understand there's no such thing as dry wood. Wood absorbs moisture in the air. Even if it's a dead tree, it absorbs moisture in the air, so it's only going to acclimate to the wood, to the air around you. So if you're in a very wet climate, it's going to absorb more water in again. Okay. So I'm also, as I'm turning this, looking at ways that I can turn this so that when it does warp and expand, I've already allowed for that, and I can actually use that in the design. So I may end up with more of an oval shaped bowl, which is fine as long as it doesn't look warped and can't and wobbles around a lot. So if it's a well shaped bowl, I can clear that. Okay, if it's a well shaped bowl, that works in my favor, and it actually creates a much more interesting bowl. Not all bowls have to be round. Bowls can be any shape you really want them to be honest with you, but bowls can definitely be um, oval shaped, and actually they can look pretty damn cool that way. Make sure I can clear. Oh, can't clear there. Okay, let me go over here a little bit. Okay, got that. All right, let me check with you guys before. Oh, I do have one other piece that I wanted also to do. This is its baby brother, and this one's a little bit easier. So I thought we'd do the hard one today. Maybe we'll do an easy one next time. But that's the hard. That's the harder one. So I figured I'd have you all here to protect me while I was doing this. Okay. So, mask on, ventilation on. Let's see, which implement do I want to use? I'll use my carder here right now. And thanks again to BM Woods, Wood Turning, for that mandrel. I like it. I'm going to use it again. But I think I need to get that 4-inch tool rest that you guys carry so that I can get in there a little better. So, all right, let's give this a try. I'm going to have to slow this down just a bit so I can get this rounded out. And as you can see, if you got a good tool, you don't even have to have your other hand up there. Let's see. That's nice. All right, well, if that's going to happen, I'm going to be able to speed this up a little bit. Okay. Starting to take a little of the wobble out of it. Well, chainsaw, it's no more dangerous than a guy hanging from a tree cutting limbs off with a chainsaw, quite honestly. Hey, Mims, thanks for coming in. It is a process for turning green wood, so it's going to be a little different. And like I said, we have this big, huge piece right here. All of this needs to be removed. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can give you a little bit better lighting here. And I think we're going to take the tailstock away for now. And see if I can't come at this from this side. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it'll work. A lot of this is bark. Once I get this down, I'll be able to pick the speed up a little bit. And now I got to move in. That's the one thing people forget is after you're taking something down, you got to move. You got to stop and move in. Don't just get mesmerized with doing the turning here. That was a big chunk. That was one right at the face. Thank good I had the mask on. Don't ever try doing this without having a mask and a respirator. It's just not worth your losing your teeth. Unless you want to go to Halloween looking like a hockey player or something. I think I can turn the speed up just a little bit now. Still kind of wobbly, but let's see what we can do here. We're starting to get into some actual wood. It feels like I'm getting into some hardwood that I can actually use for a tenon. Now, this is not wet wood like you're used to seeing where it's like really wet wood. But as you can see, I'm starting to get into some hardwood. This is a little funky. So if I can get a little bit deeper, I'd be able to put a recessed tenon on here that should be able to hold. We'll have to see. Oh, my mask. There's that damn thing I was telling Moyak the other day. This battery doesn't want to hold a charge, and it's a new battery. So this becomes kind of a trade-off between how much of the depth of the bowl do you want to lose, and how much do you want to try to preserve. So I've still got this part here. If I was trying to make the bowl go up here, I probably would not have enough here. It'd be very tight. So I'm going to have to go in a little bit more. I just can't. I just don't want a chance, especially with this side over here, being as rough as it is. I can do this, so let's see if I can do this. There we are. We're still not round on the outside. We still got a flat spot here and here. We got a lot of ways to go. I can bring it into here, and I can make a circle, and that should be good enough. I know I got a little bit of soft right there, but that will mostly come off. So let me see. So I come up right about here. Here. That's going to be pretty gnarly. Don't know if we're going to be able to take that off. This is settling in. There we go. Yeah, we're starting to get a tenon. How about that red? Hi, Matt. Yeah, about 10% moisture or less. I was saying about 9. Depends on the type of wood. One of the things I got to worry about is right here. This piece right here is going to, if it was turning the other direction, would come flying off because there's a little bit of an indenture here from another branch. So I got to be real careful when I'm coming around to that. Yeah, Mike, it's free wood. That's what I like too. I like the idea of going into a neighbor's yard and they say, "Hey, I got a tree that's dying on me. Do you want some of it?" And I say, "Gee, let me think for about 3 seconds." And then I go, "Sure, I'll come out and I'll bring my little chainsaw and I'll cut off pieces and I'll turn it into something. You know, I'll be happy to." So let me and as I've said before, anytime I get wood from somebody, I always turn one bowl for them. They get a bowl from the piece of wood that they get from the wood that they gave me. It may not be the best piece of wood, but it's usually one of my first ones because I'm learning the piece of the wood. So they kind of get one of my early ones, but it's always a good turning. It's not like it's a bad turning or anything. Let's see. I'm gonna have to. Let me use this. Just to get a starting point. That's a real annoying little beep, beep, beep. I know. I hope he's not picking up too much on the microphone. It is annoying. It's telling me that my battery is dying on my helmet. But honestly, I don't want to stop doing what I'm doing here. Okay. I know I'm probably going to have to make that a little bigger. And, oh, it's right there. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I eyeballed this one. It came out pretty good. Okay, so now here's the problem. I've already got that. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take it down to that level on the turning here. That's a little better. Okay. Now I can go. Now here's another thing. I've got, see right there. I've got another branch that's probably from the branch that was coming in over here. Another branch piece that was coming in there. That can either be really nice and hard, or that could actually make a soft spot. So I'm going to be really careful with that as well. And that's all I'm going to need, I think, to hold this. Maybe not. Let's see here. I got a very light hand on here. In fact, I could be doing this one-handed. You don't have to press in. You just have a nice sharp tool, and you just do this. And Mims, I don't know if you're still in here, but I was watching your, I think it was your wife turning the other night, and you're giving her a shot. One thing I'd mention, and it's common with a lot of people that are starting out and turning, they hold their tool back here. Make sure you get your tool right up on your foot hand right on the rest. You should be holding it down onto the rest, so your hand can be here. It's not going to get hurt. It's just there to stabilize the tool. And all you're doing is holding it. You're not gripping it. You don't have to do this. If you're doing this, you're just creating your own tension. You just need to have your hand on there, pushing down on the tool, and that accounts for any pulling. See when it's pulling? That and your hand in the back of the tool, that's all you need. Again, on the top in most cases, or up against your body. That's all you need to make a nice hold. Okay? I'm going to go for this. I'm going to try this. This may be stupid on my part. Maybe just a little bit refining there. Yeah. There. That's my tenon. Now we can work on the rest of it. What do you guys have to say? Ah, the Grizzlies. Yes. Ryan's a big fan of the Grizzly. I don't blame him. It's been good to him. Well, there's lots of good European ones too. There's a lot of good European lathes out there. Um, there's some that I'm not sure we can even get in the United States, but there are some really nice lathes out there. Every country seems to have, or every region of the world seems to have some really good tool makers. There's some great ones in Australia, New Zealand area. There's some in the Slavic states. I know. Of course, there's a British one or British ones that are very good. That's getting nice and smooth now. Just need a little refining on that. So we're going to pull out the trusty scraper here. Very light. Well, when this thing gets moving, it really takes it a while to slow down because it's got so much weight flying around on it. I think you can sand most of that out. Let's see. Maybe my negative rake scraper here might help a little bit with this. Take some of that roughness off. Negative rake scraper only takes off what it needs to take off. So sometimes a lot of stuff is flying, sometimes almost nothing. Yeah, that's smoothing out already. I've got tear out here, and I've got tear out up here. Some of that will have to be sanded out. We'll see what we can do when we're doing the final turnings on it. For now, let's just get this round and deal with that. Yep, we're getting really close to round now. Starting to take some shape here. I think we can kick the speed up a bit. There we go. Ooh, there's that piece I was talking about. It's going to come flying off here in a minute. Yep, there it goes. At least a part of it. I can feel that when it hit. There we go. We just got a little bit of flat spot here still. Most of the other flat spots are gone. So now it's just a matter of forming and shaping. Let's see. Use a scraping of the gouge. See how that looks. Oh, we're starting to get some real nice look in here now. Took some of that roughness out of there. This scraping move really does that. Okay, I just need to go down a little bit more because of this. So let's go this way. When you stop feeling that bang 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 feel, you know you pretty much got it. And there's just a little bit right there. Probably wouldn't even notice it much, but get a little closer. Again, you're taking stuff off. You gotta move in. Okay. There's cracks right here and here, but I think, yep. I'm gonna go to my scraper now. I'll use my round scraper here, I think. See if I can't take a little of this off. The idea is not to take a lot off. It's just to take that end grain tear out off and smooth it out a little bit. That's good. That's pretty good. This right here is coming because it's the scraper's coming off of this and bouncing. When it comes back down, it digs in a little bit, and that's where you get that. That can probably be sanded out. I'll give it one more little try here. I'll hold it very steady to the tool rest. And you'll notice my hand is right up against it. I'm only about a half an inch away from the wood. And I'm just trying to just give it a very light turn. Yeah. Yep. Okay. I can see where some of the rough spots are going to be. That seems to be on pretty hard. This is a little rough in here. We'll have to sand that out. But I think we got the start here. Let me try this one here. A little different angle on this scraper. And it's only picking up the highlights. So because it's a little thicker, it's also a little more stable. There we go. Oh yeah, that feels good. Okay. Oh. Now stop for just a second. What we got here? Yeah, there is some words here. Yeah, this isn't cedar. This is cypress. It looks like cedar. You're absolutely right. It's probably from the same family, um, but it was a cypress tree, and they grow pretty much everywhere around the world. But they grow pretty good here in the area, and they really do stand out. This is a really hard wood. Cedar tends to be rather soft, generally speaking. This is not. You can see it's not powdery. It actually does turn. So a little bit of difference. It takes it a long time to grow a piece this big from cypress. It's got to be about, as I recall, the guy said that it was planted. It was there in the 60s when he was a kid. So it's got to be at least 60, 70 years old. So it gives you some idea of how long it took to grow this. This does have a nice aroma to it. It doesn't have a cedar aroma. It has almost a camphor odor. Very nice, though. All right, so I'm going to have to sand this down. And you know how I like to use my 90-degree sander. Actually, it's a drill, but I use it as a sander. I'm going to have to get into some of this. I'm going to have to turn this my dust collector on. There we go. Trying to save that bark. It kind of looks cool. some of that tear out. This is where I got to be careful with that tear out. This is why you can't really spin it. A lot of times guys want to spin this. The problem with spinning your wood when you're doing this is you're going to leave lines because of the kind of wood it is. So I tend to just want to go back and forth with it and take out any rough spots that I see. Because really there's end grain all over this thing. The way it's swirling, there's end grain everywhere. Let's see if I can bring you a little bit closer in on that. See, it kind of looks a little bit like Saturn. Doesn't it? Looks a little bit like looking at the side of Saturn where it has all those storms going on in the gas. Maybe I'll call this my Saturn wool. I don't know. It looks like when it's all done. The problem with naming your bulls is sort of like naming an animal on the farm. Once you name it, it's hard to take it and sell it or put it out to pasture or serve it up for dinner. So I try not to get too involved with these bulls. If it's something I plan to sell, I enjoy it for what it is, and then we move on to the next one. Which we anticipate will be just as nice looking, and we'll take all the lessons we learned from this one and apply them to the next bull we make. That's kind of the way I approach it. I know we only got about a half an hour left, so I don't want to go too much into this. We might have to finish some of this next week. And I might have a piece of cork oak I want to do next week. If any of you have ever turned cork oak, it's really unusual wood. I know I got a piece to Ryan. And maybe we can go turn a piece, see what we come up with. I don't know. There you go. If you can, please hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. If you haven't already, if you're so inclined, or if you haven't, I can always use another subscriber. I'd appreciate that too. We're trying to boost up over 300 subs. We got a pretty good boost the other day on Labor Day. The nice thing about this is I can also go in reverse on this drill. The problem is, if you do that, you have to be really careful because it'll unscrew itself. Because when you are going backwards, you're also going against the threading. So when you're doing this and all of a sudden you go, oh, and there goes my face line off. So I have to be really careful. I think we've tamed this thing pretty good, considering what we started with. It's a much tamer piece of wood to turn now than it was. And I can just keep it from cracking while I'm processing it. We're in pretty good shape. Some of those cracks that I had on the outside are not apparent inside, although there are a couple. And I may treat those before moving on. Okay, give me one more sanding here, and we will put something on here to make it shine up a little bit. Okay. I want to make sure I get all that end grain really nicely sanded up. Yes, you can. Oh, I wish you could smell this and feel this. This feels great. For a bowl that was just a big hunk of wood a few minutes ago, this is feeling really nice. There's some hardwood and some softwoods in there. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Okay, I'm gonna take this beep 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 off. Oh, you and I don't have to listen to that anymore. Ah, okay, let's see what we can make out of it. Make it look like. Okay, I'm gonna take my trusty tongue oil, mix it up real good here. There we go. Mix that up. Turn this off. Oh God, we can hear each other again. Okay, and let's see what we can do with this. There we go. It shows any little end grains that I missed in the sanding. I'll be able to go back over those and fix those up. But this nourishes the wood, hardens it a little bit, and it keeps it from, well, hopefully it'll keep it from cracking. It won't necessarily keep it from cracking. What it does is it slows down the process of the water release. So if we can slow that down, we may be able to process the rest of this without too much trouble, but we'll see. That's always the challenge with these kind of turnings. Now, by the time I get around to the other side, this is going to be completely dry. That's how much this sucks in. So even though it's considered a moist piece of wood and still wet, look how much it can suck in. Okay, see, it's already dry to the touch here as I come around. And I know some of you ask, why do I have that 40s music on in the background? Well, for one thing, it's not copyrighted. I don't get slapped on the hand for playing music that's under copyright. So um, that's the reason for the background music. And I figured it's pleasant enough. I grew up hearing my parents play it or on their record player when I was a kid. Yes, I'm that old. Uh, in fact, I just watched Casablanca again. I actually watched some reactors watching Casablanca, and it always tickles me to see what the reaction is when they see an actual movie that's made by real actors and by real writers and has a real life situation to it. It surprises them to no end. Uh, doesn't surprise some of us because we've been around the block, but it's always nice to see the reaction of some other people. So, what do you think of this first? That's the first coating. Yep, it's cypress. So some of you do use tung oil. I know this is a mixture of tung oil and linseed. Linseed is basically a lemon oil, but it's also used to clean. It's a degreaser of sorts, so it can eliminate certain saps and certain other things in woods as you're doing. It also thins out the tung oil just a little bit, and it makes it very easy for absorption. And I add a little bit of mineral oil to that also, which goes in there and works on the absorption, and it gives it a nice sheen. And that's what we're getting here. Now, usually I let it sit about 20 minutes after a coating. I want to make sure it really gets in there good. There are actually a couple little bug marks in here, but bugs don't really like to eat cypress. You see very little bug marks in there because they get in there and they go, ugh, I don't like this. It tastes awful. And they leave. That's not usually the problem for cypress trees. Their troubles more are in the root area where they do get uh, infestations and so forth. So that's kind of what happened here. It died from the roots, not from the branches and all. So I think this is going to be a nice, pretty wool when it's all done. And I like to do the inside of the tenon because we want to strengthen the wood in here. And so sometimes I'll even put a little CA glue in there to kind of just strengthen the fibers in there, because we're going to be asking that wood to hold a spinning piece of wood that's well, this is probably still going to weigh about 8-9 pounds, I would say right now. So it's a 9-pound piece of wood spinning at a high rate of speed. We really don't want that wood to give up. And so, okay. So there you go, guys. What do you think so far? Hi, Raul. And Ryan, we will be catching you tomorrow night on your next one. You're going to go tomorrow evening. That's good. And so we will all want to be seeing you do that. Mike, I think we need to maybe do that cork oak together or something. Maybe we can do a two-person turn live. We talked about doing that before, and I know I can invite one person in on the live. So if we can do that, maybe we can take two different approaches to it and see what we can do. I'm not sure how the voiceover works and all that, but we can look into that anyway. Yeah, those colors are something else. There's about I can't even describe all the colors, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to try and take. Let me take this off for a second. I want to show you this when you can look at it this way. Look at this. There's just yellows and reds and just about everything you could imagine in there of some kind. So okay, so we're gonna have to let this set. So I'm gonna go back to finishing those pens for right now, and I know a lot of you have different types of tools for doing that. This is the one that I have. Okay, and I'm gonna try and take these pieces off that we had. There's the two pieces of olive and the piece of mahogany. Okay, and I got my kit. And I took it out of the little bags. Like you said, those little bags are a pain in the you-know-what. By the way, just so you can see, my floor is pretty covered, but I do have my pants to stand on, so that helps a little bit. Okay. All right. So the way this one works, a little bit different than some others, but about the same. This is so pretty. I think I don't want somebody putting their hand on this part. So I'm going to have this go on the top. I'm going to have this go on the bottom. And we're going to mate it like so. Think like that. Okay. So let me see here. Always the tip first. Huh. I'm not going to, you know what? I'm not going to use a mahogany piece. I'm going to do this with just the birch or the olive. I mean, because I just saw something on that mahogany I don't like. And here it goes. Boom. That easy. And then we'll take the other piece and going to make this the top. Someone's going to think that I actually drew this on here or something. I can just guess that. There we go, like so. Then you're going to take that off. Oops. Ooh. Bear with me a second. I just lost my piece. I dropped it. There we go. Doing this on the lathe part is not something I normally do. All right. Now, what they say is you take one of these off. And I maybe take the second one off. Great. Okay. Got it in a little bit. Put the next piece on here. And you want to be very careful about this. But the goal is to take that little knurl right there that's on the silver part and move it right up to there. Now I'm going to take and check. See, the pin is sticking out. Pin is not. Pin is sticking out. That's perfect. Okay. I'm going to leave that there. Put this on here. And you say, oh, it doesn't want to slide down. Well, that's okay because there's a little piece that holds that. But it will slide down when we do this. Now it starts to go down, see? That just helps it out a little bit. Here we go. This is not fair to make a guy with big hands trying to do this little stuff. That's why I usually call my wife in to do this part, but there we go. So there we are. One pin. Ready to go? Someone's going to like this one, I think. Yeah, that is really unusual. I just don't know. It looks almost like I don't know, like a mirror holder, and this is the mirror part. I don't know. Just very unusual. But so we got a couple of these here. I think I have. Okay, I'm going to take this out of the way now. I think. Ooh, well, there we go. There, a piece of that bark came off, and there's another piece coming off. What's good? It comes off now. I don't like it flying at me. All right. Well, yeah, there's a lot of different presses out there for these pens. This is just one of them. It works pretty easy. In fact, you can make one of these yourself. It doesn't take much. Um, I was lucky enough to just get it the way it is, but you can just make it. I'm going to throw that away too. Let's see. I think I left my brush somewhere. Oh well, not to fear. I have lots of others. I'm telling you, if you're not going down to Harbor Freight and buying a box of these, you're missing out. For like $10, you get 100 of these, and you can use them for putting all sorts of finishes on. They get in all the little nooks and crannies. And if you're using something that gets stiff afterwards, it doesn't matter. You're just throwing it away. You're throwing away 10 cents. I mean, that's really all it's costing you. So I'm going to do one more on here because it looks like it's still sucking some of this in. And I want to fix that here. Normally, I would do this until it stops absorbing. And that's your cue that you've got enough on here. Usually, you don't want to need to do more than 2 or 3 coats, but there we go. And it's somewhat self-leveling too, so you don't have to worry too much about having left any brush marks or anything, because this is a coarse brush. And one of the things when you're doing a finish is you don't want the brush marks afterward you're done on any surface. So just like you don't want your gouge marks on any surface either. So okay. Okay, let's see how this sucks us up. I think this is the last coat it's going to need. Yeah, it's starting to get stay wet here in a couple places. We'll brush that over into some of the dry spots. A little drier here on the end. Of course, this is the end grain, so it's going to be a little bit drier because it's think of it as like a grass like this. So this is your end grain. So every one of those is a little place where air's coming out, water's going in. It's not the side grain. The side grain is like this. And so when you're turning, you're cutting the side grain. It's nice. When you're cutting the end grain, you're chopping off like the top of grass. And so that's why you always get those rough spots, because you're basically mowing the lawn on the wood. If that makes any sense to you. That's about the best description I can give you of that. Okay, I'm going to spin this up just a little bit to help it dry a little. Here, now it's a really rich red. And I'm going to have to wipe off just a little bit here and there. We're not looking for the shiny finish yet. We're just preserving the wood and bringing out some of the beauty right now and looking for any little mistakes that I need to fix. And I probably will need to go back and sand a little bit of this before we do any final finishes on it. Because see here, look what's coming off of that now. It's still got a little bit of dust mixed in there and a little bit of this and that. There's some little scratches right here that may or may not even be there in the final piece because I'm turning the inside of the bowl. Going to be straightening out this edge a little bit, and some of that might go away anyway, so I'm not too worried about it yet. Okay, guys, I'll sit down here with you for just a second. Oh, Ryan, you're back? Okay. It is popping. What's her name? Well, like I said before, I don't like to name my bowls because then I want to keep them instead of sell them. And, I'd rather sell some of these. I mean, there are a few that I keep. There's a few my wife grabs and says, nope, you're going to leave this in the house. And it's not always the prettiest ones either. It's just ones that she likes for whatever reason, or it fits a space that she has. So be careful of that. If you do this a lot as a craft, you're going to find out all of a sudden you've got wood things all over your house. My wife does a lot of scroll work and other types of wood crafting, and we have stuff all over our house. In fact, maybe I'll bring some out sometime and show you. But she does some really remarkable work. Right now, she's working on Christmas pieces because you have to do those now if you're going to sell them for the holidays. Um, so, what would you guys like to see me turn next week? I'm kind of curious. I've got a couple of glue ups. I've got. Let me show you here. I showed you the one piece. I've got another piece over here too. See if I can get it up here. I got this nice piece of Modesto ash. Maybe I can kind of lift that up a little bit here, but it's a nice big piece of Modesto ash. And we've turned some of that before. This is going to be a good challenge. I tell you, it'll take me a couple good hours to go through that. I got some rounder pieces of it, quite honestly, that would be a lot less work. I got this piece. I'm not sure what this is, to be honest with you. But this is what you call not cutting a piece of wood properly, because it's not cut for the width. It should have been bigger this way so that you have a circle for making a bowl. Instead, I end up with a little piece. So you're going to end up with a bowl that's only about this big. But it's pretty deep, so we might make a vessel out of it. I just hate to waste that kind of wood. Actually, this might be walnut. I think this might be walnut. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that might be a piece we do. So write in the comments what you'd like make me to turn. I've also got some more sequoia. I got a lot more of this cypress to do, like I showed you. This is one of the pieces of that cypress too. Completely different look to it. This is a log, and as you can see, it's got that same beautiful color inside. I'm going to put the faceplate on here. Make a tenon. No, I'm sorry, I won't. No, I think what I'll do is I will mount a faceplate on here, make a 10 in here, and then we might, and I don't know if we can. No. This is not very good bark to do a live edge. And you can see we got a lot of little entrance wounds here for bugs, and I'm sure they left. But I don't know. We might try something with this. Maybe something different. Maybe we can make we do a boring and use the that boring tool to make a pin blank. I don't know. Looks like Earth Goddess. Yeah, the BM wood turning mine I've had for many years. My that pen press. So that's a design that's been out for probably 25, 30 years. I've had it for a very long time. In fact, I used to have two of them. I don't know what happened to the other one. Otherwise, I'd just say, here, you can have one, Ryan. Um, but yeah, there's arbor presses. There's all sorts of different ways of doing that. For the small one like this, I think this is a really good press to use because it handles the small parts very well. And I don't like tying up my lathe doing things that it doesn't normally do. Although I will say that the BM Wood Turnings drill piece did a really good job of boring the holes for my pen pieces. I kind of preferred that to doing it on my drill press, which takes a lot of setup time. But so again, if you haven't hit the like button, please do so. Um, and I really appreciate everybody being here today. I don't want to get into the way of your football games, and I know we're coming up on 5 o'clock. Is there anybody that has any comments or questions or anything that we can use for the next 4 or 5 minutes to, and then I'll get off your YouTube. But hey, Johnny's Lathe, I got a question for you. I know you do a lot of different things. Um, I kind of like the challenge of turning really rough pieces of wood, not pieces that have come from like a wood store or something like that, where they've already trimmed everything off and made nice little square blanks. And quite honestly, I'm not understanding why they always give you square blanks of wood, except they're too lazy to put them through some sort of process. But at any rate, do you prefer live piece of wood, or do you prefer the stuff that comes from wood companies? I mean, there's nothing wrong with either one. I've got some right here, in fact, but just curious. In fact, I ask that of everybody. As an example, I've got this. This is really hard. I've got some rosewood and I've got some mahogany pieces, and they send it to you like this, and it's nice, but it's really hard to make much of a big bowl out of something that's only 4 by 4. You know, um, you can stack them and use them this way, but that's just kind of using up two really expensive pieces of wood to make a rather small project. Um, Now this is trying to remember now. Remember, I had this for many years, and it was in it. Someone had tried to make a curved cut in this at one time. I'm gonna have to take on a bandsaw and bend it out, but it's really beautiful wood, and it looks sort of like mahogany. But if it is, it's a very high end mahogany. I'm not sure. You like turning both? Yeah. Store bought, but you turn either. Okay. Yeah, you can make trinket boxes, but it just seems like you're taking a $20 blank and turning it into something that's, you're lucky if you're going to get $20 out of it, unless you can really find the right audience, and that's not always easy to do. Um, I like the wow factor of a live bowl of sorts, because people look at it and they go, "Wow, that's unique." Like what we found in that, even that little piece of birch today. That's a piece of birch. I have some big pieces of birch, and that was just a little piece that I'd cut off to make a pen blank out of. Because I've got bins and bins and bins of small pieces for turning uh, pens, which I never will because I'm just not going to make that many pens. But in fact, Ryan, you need to come over and pick through some of mine again, I think. Um, yeah, you never know what the crotch cut. Now, the crotch wood is really interesting. Again, you have to deal with a lot of special issues, but crotch wood is a really fun way to turn. In fact, I've turned a crotch piece where I turned the flat so the three wings went out in different directions, like a Y, and the bowl was actually in the middle of that, so you had the three surfaces coming in, and that worked out kind of well. Um, One thing I want to try here again soon is making a big bowl for chips with I made one with a toothpick holder in the middle of it instead of hollowing out the middle of the bowl, or it was a platter type situation. I left it raised and enough to hold toothpicks and stuff so people could pick pieces of cheese and stuff out. And I did another one where I left it really wide in the middle for a bowl of dip to go in there, and both those sell really good too. So don't when you think bowl, don't just think bowl as in just making a bowl. There's a lot of different things you can do with bowls. That's why it's kind of never ending. You never know. Like in this piece of wood here, if you looked at the outside of this piece of wood, you'd go, "Ah, that looks like a piece of crap," until you get inside it. Because even when you first go through that wood, it's white until you get to the inside, and then when you put a finish on it, it just jumps. Even now, you can see it's jumping pretty good. So that's feeling pretty smooth. I'm going to let it sit for a day, I think, and just kind of stabilize a little bit in the air out here. And then I'm going to turn this around, and we'll probably finish this off next week and let everybody see what it finally looks like. I don't know, but I appreciate you all coming here today. Go enjoy the football game if you want to, or have dinner, or put your kids to bed, or it's time to get up now. You've been sitting in bed for the last 4 hours, and you're in the other side of the world, and it's time to get up. I don't know, but thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. If you can like or subscribe if you haven't already on your way out, and we will see you all next Thursday at 3. Thank you.